Well, he's one of the lead contenders for the Friesen Performance IMCA Northern Sport Mod Rookie of the Year in the nation. He is out of Bakersfield, California. We're going to be talking to Tate Loftis about his journey from motorcycles to junior mini stocks to hobby stocks, and finally, and most recently, to the Sport Mods. It's a wonderful and beautiful story, and also an incredible story about how he's going to be boon-bound here in just a couple months, less than a month. That's coming up next on the Beyond the Flags podcast. But before we get to the interview, make sure wherever you're listening or watching from, you hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on Pilots Friesen Performance IMCA Northern Sport Mod number 62, hailing from Bakersfield, California. I imagine it's rather warm in your neck of the woods. We're talking to Tate Loftis. Tate, great to have you.
Yeah, great to be on, buddy. Thanks for having me. Definitely not cool here. It's hot every day, and we can't wait for it to go away.
Well, you know, when I first started going, venturing around Hanford and Tulare, this was like back in even October, like as late as not October in the year, probably about 2014, 2015, and I saw cotton actually growing out of the ground for the first time. I had a feeling that it's got to be pretty hot for cotton to grow the way that it grows, and you guys have got that in the southern part of the San Joaquin Valley or the Central Valley.
Oh, absolutely. You never know how early the summer is going to come or how late it's going to go away. So this year looks like it's going to be a bad one, but it makes for some slick tracks that bring the drivers out. So that's always exciting.
Well, 2024 for you guys, you've participated right around 16 events and have scored a victory at Merced Speedway on May 11th, but you've posted 10 top fives. I mean, you guys have been pretty good and had a really good outing at the Friday prelim of the Western SportMod Nationals at Yreka.
Yeah, it's been a good year, I'd say. It's our first full year in a sport mod here, and that first win, getting it off our back in Merced that weekend was awesome to get the first sport mod win. Racing against the guys that we race against on a weekly basis, the Bannisters and the guys from up north, like your Jason Ryan Jr. and Fred Ryland and them. It's really cool to run good. And yeah, this year's been good. We haven't torn very much stuff up, and just the focus of the year has been finishing every lap and making sure that we don't tear too much up. And we've kind of been working along with that goal. Yreka, yeah, that was a blast. It was definitely an eye-opener to the caliber of competition that's out there, and to be able to go run with those guys and put up a top 10 in the big feature on Saturday. We were real close to getting into the top 5, but barely missed it. And then Friday, we almost won the qualifying feature there, ended up second against some really fast cars. It was definitely, like I said, an eye-opener, and we're really happy with how we performed there.
Well, and I was going to say, not just racing at Bakersfield. I mean, you guys are obviously traveling to Yreka, and obviously with the win at Merced have been there a couple times this season, but had a good outing at Antioch Speedway during the Central California Clash on April 20th. You guys were runner-up in that main event, and then you guys, went to Tulare, had a good run there with the Clash, finished 6th, and even started the year off with a pair of top 5s at Mojave Valley Raceway in Bullhead City, Arizona.
Yeah, that's kind of been the product this year, is try to get to as many racetracks as we can and race against as many different people as we can to try to get more experience and gain the speed. Mojave was fun to go to, definitely. It's in the middle of nowhere. We'd never been there, and we had a really good time there for that. That was, I think it was a 2-day show. And then that Clash race in Antioch, man, we couldn't have asked for a better surface there. It was slick, smooth, top to bottom, and those guys came to race that weekend, and we were pretty good. So we're runner-up to Tyler Bannister. I feel like I've been runner-up to him a couple different times or in that situation. So you get to race against guys like him, it's made us so much better, and every week we're feeling like that we're just getting more experience and getting better every time we get in the race car.
Well, I feel like it's coming, or it's at least due. If you're able to get a win at Bakersfield Speedway before the year's out, that's gotta feel I would wager pretty sensational for you, not just you, but for your entire race team.
No, absolutely. I mean, anybody that knows racing out here on the West Coast knows that Bakersfield is one of the toughest tracks to get a win at. I mean, it's really cool to go somewhere else and get a win, but to be here at home and get our first win here at home, it'd mean a lot, man. It's tough. Everybody that shows up to the speedway here, it's you kind of don't know who's going to win on any given night. And I mean, saying that with the competition we have, like Nick Spainhoward, the Bannisters, it's it's a tough place to get around, and to win there, it'd mean a lot to us for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's just incredible the wealth of talent. You know, you got a cat like Garrett Jernigan that's pretty good there. Dylan Wilson and then the Baker brothers are pretty notable pilots as well. And you know, you get to face off against them. You know, on a rather regular basis when they show up.
No, absolutely. All those guys that you mentioned they're a blast to race against. I mean, I know a lot of times Bakersfield gets knocked. People don't like to travel here to Bakersfield to race, but all those names that you mentioned, I mean, I know that we can go out there and we can be an inch to a half an inch away from each other, and we know what we're going to do. We're going to race hard, race clean, and it's awesome to have a track in our backyard like that with the caliber of drivers we have here in Bakersfield for sure.
No doubt. And I think when Doug Lockwood originated the California Speed Week, that really showcased on a statewide / regional level of just the amount of talent that the sport mods can attract. Not just in the Central Valley, but also in the entire state of California and surrounding areas of all the teams that would travel for that. I mean, Garrett Jernigan, I remember he won every race, but one of them, and I think it was at Hanford at King Speedway, and I do believe it was Brent Curran that kind of broke that streak up. And then you kind of saw the emergence of the youth movement with Andrew Pierce and Tyler Bannister the next year and everything. And it's really cool to see that showcased, you know, when it's middle of the week shows and it's on IMCA TV, like the nation tunes in, right? It's not just, you know, it's just not a stupid moniker of where America comes to watch racing. There's a lot of eyeballs checking out those races, and it's cool that you guys kind of get to be, you know, on the spotlight.
No, absolutely. That tour was a super cool deal, and like you said, it's one of those things that people are going to tune in and watch on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and it just makes it super cool too for the race teams to be able to experience that from day to day and go track to track and see what it's really like to get on the road and go. I was kind of bummed out this year how it didn't end up being the actual speed week, which hopefully next year I'd like to see it go back to the speed week. But that really, like you said, showcases the drivers that are all over California. I mean, I'd say the sport mod class the last 3-4 years, 5 years it's gotten pretty crazy here in California with the amount of talent that we have here. So it's pretty cool to see for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Now for you, your racing story, where does that all begin, and what was your first exposure, your first taste of racing?
Oh man, I've probably been obsessed with race cars since I could open my eyes and see a race car. My grandpa, he started back, I want to say it was like 1966. Our family's from a little town just north of Bakersfield. It's called Porterville, and they had a little Friday night racetrack that we had there. My grandpa raced, and then eventually my uncle started racing. They raced all the way up through, I want to say, the late 90s at Rocky Hill. My grandpa actually, when IMCA first came to the West Coast, when you could order a car and weld it together and do that whole thing through Speedway, he bought a car and raced it a couple times. So, no, it starts way back with our family. I race, my cousin races, a couple other my cousins have raced through the years. It's a family thing, and my grandpa always says he hates that he introduced us to it because we can't get away from it. But
Sure.
I'm glad we did. It's definitely a way of life, and I enjoy every aspect of it.
No doubt, no doubt. My fiance, she lives in Indiana, and we went to the 500 for the first time. But she grew up where I'm from, Cottage Grove, Oregon, and she went to the race. You know, casual fan, just went every now and then. And ever since her and I have been together, she's realizing, because she watches all the races I'm at and everything, and it's like, holy smokes, it's like a religion almost. Like it's every single week, sometimes multiple times a week, and there's all sorts of different players and you know, different tracks and all sorts of different divisions involved. But at the end, it's one huge family.
Absolutely, that's the coolest part of it. I mean, when we took off to Yreka last week, we had some trouble about 3 hours out of town, and I looked at where we're at, and I'm like, okay, I can call this guy. I know he lives close. I know that when we take off traveling somewhere and the people that we've met, that if we have trouble pretty much anywhere we go, there's someone that we've raced with that's a phone call away. And that goes directly back the other way too. If someone was having trouble and called us, we'd be right there as well. It's the word you mentioned, family. Racers are always willing to help racers, and everybody wants to see each other do good, even if it's someone that we don't get along with. At the end of the day, we're all racers, and we want to help each other out, you know?
Absolutely. We don't want to win a race with just ourselves out there. We want to go out and beat other drivers and make sure that they're competitive and make it enjoyable for everyone.
Absolutely.
Well, and when was the decision made that, okay, I want to become a race car driver, and what was it that you started running in?
So it was like right around 2007, the end of 2006. I was racing motocross, and my mom kind of wasn't really happy with the motocross thing. It's a little dangerous. So Bakersfield Speedway had a class here. It was called the Junior Mini Stocks. So they'd get 5-10 cars a night, and you could start racing those when you were 14. We found a little Honda CRX, and I want to say it was in late June of that year. We got the car and we went to racing, and that was it. My mom said, no more dirt bikes, let's go race cars, and that's what we did.
And then when did you move up to a sport mod?
So I actually moved into a sport mod. I think we ran about 6 races in one last year. Mm-hmm. And then prior to that, I had raced the hobby stock, hit and miss, probably, I don't know, 40 times or so from 2009 till now, mm-hmm. or till last year. But I raced a sport mod probably 3 or 4 other times before actually getting fully into one last year. And I think that was one of the best decisions we ever made. I think what really inspired me to go into the sport mod is year before last, we went to the Super Nationals to watch and to see the difference in racing there and how together someone can get a program. It really inspired me to go into the sport mod class or any of the IMCA classes and be able to compete on a regional level or even go race on a national level and know that we're going to have the same roll package, same everything, no matter what track we go to. And then we wanted to race more and going into the sport mod class, it seemed like no matter where we go, we'll have a pretty decent car count, and we just know that the roll package is going to be the same.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. As you know, I like to get on my IMCA soapbox, and I'm sure people are just roll their eyes, but I just got to say, I like the uniformity of you can race the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's without changing anything. Like, you're good to go. You can go to the Clash at the Coast with a modified or a stock car. You can do Tougher Than Dirt Tour in North Dakota and Saskatchewan, and not, maybe you got to mess with the muffler. Maybe there's a DBA limit or something, but outside of that, like, you don't have to have stamped tires. You don't have to have a spec rule here or there. You're good to go.
No, it's definitely a cool thing. I mean, back in like our hobby stock days, the last couple years, all of our tracks around here were pretty close. But
Mm-hmm.
in the earlier days, if you wanted to go race somewhere else, you'd have to look at what's their carburetor rule, what's their weight rule, what's
Sure.
their body rule, and you'd have to put in a week's worth of work to change your car to go race somewhere.
Yeah.
And
Engine off or engine setback rules. Sometimes you had to like move the whole motor back.
oh yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff. And to be able to sit down at the beginning of the year and make a schedule and know that we're going to be able to make a schedule on how many races do we want to race. That's the question. We can go race, 60, 70 races here in California if we make the schedule and the money's there to go race them. And we know that it's going to be how much do we tear up that night? What do we have to do to change a gear? And that's about it. That's all the decision that has to be made to go race on any given weekend anywhere here in California or across the country.
Sure. Are you looking to find that adrenaline rush, but you can't because you're not at the racetrack? Well, check out the IMCA TV Replay subscription library to have access to thousands of hours of racing for just $24.99 a month. Relive all the moments of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's at Boone Speedway, the Harris Clash at Deer Creek Speedway in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Cocopah Speedway in Somerton, Arizona, Florida's Clash on the Coast, and dozens of Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program racetracks from across the nation, as well as the IMCA TV Dirtcast podcast. Plus, 25% of that $24.99 monthly fee goes towards the Drivers Point Fund and is a great way to help out your local racers. In 2023, over $97,000 was paid out to IMCA drivers directly at over 50 racetracks across the country. Please note that live broadcasts are not part of the replay subscription. That's IMCA TV. IMCA TV, where America comes to watch racing. Well, tell me about the number 62. Where did that whole thing come from?
So, number 62 actually wasn't the first number that I was going to choose racing a car. I was always number 4 racing motocross and stuff like that. And when I got the little mini stock, it actually had number 63 on it, and we ran that the first year. But the 62 comes from a cousin of mine that had passed away years and years ago, and that's the number he always ran. So from number 4 to number 62, it was the best option. I mean, to be able to honor his memory and keep that number alive, that's why we did it.
Sure, that's great. That's a touching story. And you had a teammate. You had Ryan Smith from Coalinga pilot your second car. We were jokingly calling you guys the California clones for a second because your guys I think it was just the shade of yellow was different. One was a little brighter and then the other one was a little bit more flat, I guess. I think is the most accurate description. That's how I was able to keep you cats separated. Yeah,
no, it was a blast, man. Taking 2 cars was never really a thing that we had planned on doing, let alone us owning 2 cars right now. That other one's for sale, but it's been sitting there. And Ryan, he's a huge part of our race program. He's a phone call away at all times. If we need him at the house, he lives in Coalinga. It's an hour and 45 minutes away. He'll get in his car and come down and help us. And to be able to give back to him and allow him to step into one of our cars, it was awesome. And for him to put on the showing he did, never being in that car, I don't think he's ran a SportMod since 2021 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And to get in it, and he won the LCQ. He technically made the show, and he took care of the equipment. It was really exciting, but to go there for the first time with 2 cars and never have done it before, that was a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Well, I was curious, like, was that just a one-time cameo, or is there possibly something in the works for something later in the year that as long as the car's not sold, obviously, that he might hop in?
We hope the car's sold, right? But I wouldn't say it's completely out of the cards, but we'll see what happens. It's sitting there on jack stands. It doesn't hurt me, but also if it's not sold, sitting there on jack stands isn't doing any good for car count. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, I know he's got some things lined up towards the latter part of the year and some other stuff, but I'm sure me and my wife will end up talking about it, and it could happen and it might not. We'll see.
Sure, sure. Well, when you're not racing, when you're not working on a race car or traveling to a track or in the race car, piloting it around, what are some things that you like to do away from the sport?
That's kind of a hard one because, I mean, like a lot of these other guys, we kind of base everything we do off racing, but I'd say our off time, we really try to spend time with family, barbecue, swim with the kids, and just kind of hang out and try to be regular people. We dedicate our lives so much to racing that sometimes when you don't have racing, it's hard to feel like it's normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just hanging out, man. We're 2 hours from the coast, so we like to go over to the coast. We like to travel and do different things. Pretty much any activities that the kids want to do, we enjoy to go do that. But I'd say, like on a personal level, myself, I like to get out and play a round of golf when I can. But it seems like the off seasons are so short now that the downtime, it's hard to do anything like that, you know?
Sure. No, that's understandable. I totally relate to that.
Oh, I bet. You probably go year round, right?
Yeah. Last year I did like 107 races, and this year I've tried to tone it back a little bit, but it's still been a lot so far. So
Yeah, that's an insane amount.
yeah. But for you, let's say I'm somebody who's never been in the Bakersfield area. There's some cool stuff to do around there, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times Bakersfield gets kind of a bad rap, but there's stuff to do. I mean, I think the first thing anybody thinks, like, if you talk to someone from Bakersfield, is our choice of restaurants. You have so many different great places to eat: Mexican food, Basque food, barbecue restaurants. We have like a whole food truck court. Those are some cool things to do. I mean, everybody likes to eat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Authentic street tacos is some of the best eating that you can have. Just don't go overboard.
No, I think that's the worst part about when we go travel somewhere is we're never satisfied with the type of Mexican food that we get when we're out of town. So we're a little spoiled there.
Yeah.
You've got like a little Top Golf thing. It's not a real Top Golf, but it's pretty fun. They just opened up a go-kart track here. I think it's called MB2. That one's cool. You can do like axe throwing, have dinner there, batting cages, mini golf. But there's a lot of stuff to do here in town.
Nice. Well, they used to have like an indoor kart track, and it was like a slick kart track, right? A slick oval. We're going back like at least 10 years or so. Am I mistaken? And then they brought in actual like cage kart racers one time. I think they might have put dirt on it.
Yeah. So it was called BKE. It was an oval, and it was dirt for most. I believe it might have been the whole time, but
Mm-hmm.
they had it. It was a little bank track. It was super cool, and then they brought like the outlaw carts and stuff like that in, and that was a really, really fun place to go for sure. But I'd assume it's probably the operations of a place like that's just astronomical. It was
Sure.
sad to see that, but that was a super fun place. I mean, those outlaw carts, when they get around that track, it was pretty wild.
Yeah, that was one. They used to have one in Medford. It was the slick kart track is what they called it. I went there once, and that was a lot of fun. And I was like, man, it'd be so cool if they had something with dirt. And lo and behold, there was one. And I didn't get a chance to do that one. But, hey, maybe, never say never. Maybe something like that will come back.
No, the go-kart stuff like that's super fun. When we were at Super Nationals a couple years ago, we went over to Knoxville, and they've got one of those little slick tracks there where
Mm-hmm.
like little sprint cars, and the track's real slick. Those things are super fun.
Yes, they are. Well, for you, anything on the docket? Like, I mean, is there possibly plans you guys might be headed to Boone for Supernats, or are you guys looking at maybe aiming at starting the year off in January with the IMCA TV Winter Nationals down in Kokopah?
So that's kind of a funny story. We were planning on going and watching Super Nationals this year, and at the beginning of the year, it was kind of the goal to go race it. But with the racing we've been doing, it's been rough on the pocketbook. And me and my wife talked about a week ago, and it was, man, I don't even think we're going to go watch, you know. Mm-hmm. And I put a post out on Facebook last week and kind of let everybody know that we were wanting to go to Super Nationals. And one of my good buddies, he helped us out a little bit with it, and I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot with it. And he had the idea, well, why don't we do some waffles and waffle some things off and raise some money? And I thought he was crazy. I'm like, there's no way we're going to be able to do that. And lo and behold, a week later, we're signed up for the Boone Super Nationals, and we're going.
Nice.
And it's real, everybody that jumped on board to help us out. I can't thank everybody that got involved in that whole deal enough for supporting us. It was definitely something that I didn't think would happen, and we're super excited to go.
I love that you said it was waffles, because someone told me that one time. Oh, I want to thank this person for their I'm like, what is he, like a culinary expert on the side or something? And it's like, no, like he made this post. I'm like, oh. Yeah. Autocorrect was off that day apparently. So you need to get Grammarly.
Yeah, you can't say that R word on Facebook, or they'll take it down. I had a lot of messages. You misspelled it. You put waffle.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I get it. Now they're gonna be on to everybody's thing. Now you can't say waffle. So I mean, there goes the Waffle House is gonna be out of business here in the next couple months.
Right, we're gonna have to change the name, something else.
Yeah, you guys are making too much money without, the proper channels. So no, that is super cool.
Yeah, we're excited for Super Nationals, and we'll definitely. It's most likely in the cards to do Kokopah next year. Mm-hmm. That's something I really wanted to do too. So it's exciting, man. Didn't think that we'd be where we are and have the opportunities we have to go race like we do.
Well, are you guys doing any sort of like apparel run or anything where folks can possibly help your team out that way?
This year we haven't. Next year I'm sure we'll have something like that to try to generate something to help us out. But for sure, next year, this year, I mean, we've got some cups that we have available that's got our number on it, and the big tumbler cups that everybody likes. So that's definitely available. If you go to my Facebook, you can see it on there, and you can message us, and we'll get you one.
Okay, nice. Other people that you want to thank, sponsors and marketing partners. Obviously, with all the traveling you've done, it's taken a lot of time, money, and effort to make it all happen. And I know that there's a lot of great people that have been in your corner to help you out to make sure that you're making it to all the races that you can.
No, absolutely. We do it with kind of the minimal help, but first and foremost, my wife, she supports this like anybody else I could not imagine. Without her, we wouldn't be able to get up and down the road every week. And then my kids, they absolutely love it. Golden Empire Towing, Wayne Dotson, without him, like the 2-car thing wouldn't have been possible last week. If we need something, he helps us out with it. Ryan Smith with Next Level Fabrication. I can't say enough about what he does for our program. TJ Collier, he's always there to help us if we need something. Chris Stevenson with Stevenson Suspension. His shocks are awesome. He's always jumping on top of something if we need it. Matt Wonkum with Wonkum Race Engines. He's always a phone call away. He's really does his due diligence with our engines. Quentin Racing, my grandma and grandpa, Uncle Bobby, Colby, they're always there to support us. And then the guys in the pits, and the guys that come help us in the shop when we need help in the shop. Mason, Cody Smith, my son's always willing to get in there and rip a tire off too. Just everybody, no matter how much they help us, any kind of help is appreciated.
No doubt, especially this day and age when you know there's a lot of unpredictabilities out there.
Yeah, it's tough, especially the way things have skyrocketed. It's really hard to get up and down the road, and without everybody that's willing to pitch in, it wouldn't happen.
Well, and I was just pulling up a statistic while you were going off about all your sponsors and all that, and something cool that I discovered, and maybe I should have highlighted and did my job a little bit better a couple weeks ago. You're 5th in the nation for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that's something that we've kind of kept an eye on. At the beginning of the year, it was something we were going to chase, but with all the rainouts earlier in the year, it made it kind of hard. So I do think it's pretty cool that we're up there in the top 5. I'm excited about that. It would have been cool to win it. I think it's kind of out of the reach now, but to be able to be up there in the top 5, it really feels good.
No doubt. Well, Tate, it was great to meet you at the Western SportMod Nationals face-to-face, and it's been great to learn about your journey and your story of how racing has started and where you'd like it to go, and obviously all the wonderful achievements you've been able to accomplish in 2024. I'm sure we're going to bump into each other a lot in the next few years, well, here pretty soon in Iowa as well, and I wish nothing but the best for you and that the rest of the year treats you right.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on this show, and it's really cool that you're doing this. So we look forward to seeing you around too.
Well, race fans, that does it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you continue to enjoy these upcoming interviews. We appreciate it if you would like and subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever it's at. Give us a like and give us a subscription so that we can deliver more of these great interviews to you for your listening pleasure. In the meantime, wherever we're at, wherever you're listening, we hope you have a great rest of your day and a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon here at Highside Racing Promotions.